Today's the day. This morning, the G7 summit officially kicks off with leaders from outside the usual group of seven also in attendance against a backdrop of change in global trade led by President Trump, a reimagining of trade relationships because of tariffs, and efforts to end one war and stop the potential of another conflict in the Middle East. Prime Minister Mark Carney is hosting the group of seven leaders and that extended list of dignitaries, including leaders from Brazil, Ukraine, Australia, and India. This marks the Prime Minister's first opportunity to set the agenda as countries are grappling with increased economic uncertainty and rising hostilities in the Middle East and in Ukraine. Big agenda, lots to get done. For a closer look at what this all means for Canada and the fact that it's happening here, I'm joined by John Kirton. He's the director of the G7 Research Group and joins us from Canmore. Good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
I'd love to take a closer look at this diplomatic balancing act that Prime Minister Carney needs to perform. We've got this increased uncertainty over global trade because of U.S. President Trump, who is there, along with tensions between the U.S. president and European leaders over the war in Ukraine and tariffs as well. So how does Prime Minister Carney navigate what I describe kind of as the floor is lava situation, where it's, it's hot no matter where he steps?
Well, you're right. Never before has a G7 summit faced an agenda that is so demanding, so many crises across a broad array of fronts, from security to the economy and, yes, the natural environment, too. Mark Carney has gotten off to a great start. He arrived here yesterday afternoon, immediately went into a series of bilateral meetings with all of the outreach guests he invited. And we've seen that he's lining up his ducks for the third prong, strengthening Canada's security and economic relationships with countries other than the United States. That's good in its own right, but it will also send a message to Donald Trump that Canada's got alternatives that should induce Donald Trump to come to a better deal. When the two of them, Trump and Carney, sit down for their bilateral meeting in a few hours here. So the tariff trade war started by President Trump will be at the top of that agenda. And I'm expecting to get, well, relatively good news, and at least not worse news than we've had so far of late, to get the whole summit off to a good start.
Yeah, that meeting happening at 11 o'clock Eastern time. It's interesting, you chuckle when you say that even if it's not good news, it's not worse news, but that's an actual barometer in this era that we're living in now, where it seems like trade talks can be going one direction and quickly swing into the other. We know that meeting is happening at 11 o'clock today. What kinds of conversations do you expect them to have? Because for the first time, we keep using words instead of deal. We keep saying framework deal because, of course, really globally, that's kind of all that's in place.
Well, job number one is all of the G7 leaders and indeed the outreach guests here in their bilateral conversations with Donald Trump and around the table collectively are going to give him a single message. Look, Donald, your tariffs are hurting your people in the United States, including those on your mega base. Every American who uses aluminum, and that's every one of them every day, needs affordable aluminum from Canada, for example, and they can't pay a 50% tax to you, because that's what your latest tariff is, and still control the cost of living. So we want you, your closest partners, to do what you want in the United States, lower prices, greater jobs, and let's work together to get things solved. Before we get to the framework, I think we do need to see some immediate relief on these terribly damaging latest tariffs that Donald Trump has just slapped on Canada. Then for the framework, I think we do need a clear statement from Donald Trump that, yes, the Canada-US-Mexico agreement is the place to start. Yes, we know it needs to be improved, but that will take care of the economic side. They then have to move to the security side, NORAD, even NATO, which binds the two together, and then bring the two together in a mutually reinforcing way. So even that is an intellectual and a policy challenge that they've never had before. But I think Mark Carney is up to the task.
As you point out, it is a packed agenda: peace and security, trade and economics. So much to discuss, so much, and relationship building outside of our trade partnerships with the U.S. It is ambitious. I know you're watching closely for what comes out of 11 o'clock, as are we. John Kirton, director of the G7 Research Group, thank you.
Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.